PJNet TV, Part 2. Coming up on 9:30 on the East Coast, and going down the checklist, I can see that our bumper is running. Our streaming servers are syncing up. We are recording, and we've got JD standing by, and we've got a chat room that would like to see him and hear from him. So counting down to Studio 13. Welcome back to PJNet.TV. Folks, it is Thursday night. Now, last Thursday, you did not see J.D. Wininger, and I want to take just a moment to explain why. Jimmy McPhee shared his testimony, convicted to death row in South Carolina. 44 years later, he is an ordained minister. He was sharing his testimony, his story, and J.D. graciously, and such a gentleman, stepped aside and said, let Jimmy take as long as he needs. So we didn't hear from J.D. last week. But the good news is, there he is. There he is. He's back again. J.D. blogs at jdwininger.com. Wednesday, basically, right, J.D.?
Yes, sir. Try to get it out on Wednesday mornings.
I'm sure everybody wants to know, you've got 2 new calves. How are they doing?
Oh, well, they're doing good. Now, y'all know our friend Star Ayers.
Mm-hmm.
And Star just released a new book back in December called For the Love of Emma. And the main character in her book was this young woman named Emma Rose. And it was kind of funny because my mother-in-law, Miss Diane's mama, was Miss Emma, and her sister was Miss Rose. And they were like 2 twins. So last Sunday morning when we had twin calves born here on the Cross W, it was late Sunday afternoon before I sexed them, but when I determined that they were indeed 2 heifers, then Miss Diane just blurted out immediately, no Italian names, unless we went with Molia and Montalbano, which was their married names. But it ended up, said, well, we'll name them Emma and Rose. So we have Emma and Rose now on the ground, and they're doing well. They're following Mama all over the place. But Monday, I wasn't quite sure. Monday mid-afternoon, I saw Mama, Lulu Bell, one of our cows, that had the twin girls, and she had 1 calf with her. Well, where's the other calf? Well, she's up in the front pasture, and so I get out my field glasses, and I've got the binoculars, and I'm trying to spot this calf out on my back pasture where they came from. I can't find the little calf anywhere. Of course, they're only about 45, 48 pounds apiece. Tiny little red things, and I can't find the cat. Well, come on, Bubba, let's go. So we get on the UTV, and out we go to scope out where this little calf. Now, it could be hiding behind one of the hills or something, but Mama had put it down right at the base of the hay ring. Well, it's laying in the shadow, so I couldn't see into the darkness there, so I couldn't see the dark calf in the dark shadow. But still, the calf was about 12 acres away from its mama. And I said, let it be. Now, Mama will put him down, and Mama will do that, and she'll go off and feed and rest and things. But, I wanted to make sure both calves were nursing and getting all the nutrients and the antibodies and things that they need. So I said, I got to watch this. And a couple hours went by, and the cows all moved back to the back pasture again, but now we're about 10 acres away, and the little calf was still there. Well, then the little calf gets up, and it's going to some of the other mama cows that's gotten back around the hay, and it's trying to nurse, and mama cow's going, who are you? Get away, and and one of the other mamas trying to direct it over to its mama, which was across the pasture. Well, she's crying out, as little calves will do. Mama can't hear her. It's too far away. So, here comes big old Mr. JD, and I pick up the little calf and I'm cradling it in my arms and I'm walking across this muddy, wet, ucky
Mm.
pasture. And I had to stop like 3 times, Coach, and grab Nitro twice, to get her. But I got the little calf to Mama. And of course, when I got within about 20 feet, Mama called out, and the little calf responded, and life was good. I'm home. It's good. And since then, neither of those calves leaves Mama's sight. I mean,
Hmm.
she's right after him. She's not leaving them anywhere. She'll lay down, and I'll look, and the twin girls will be right there beside her everywhere she goes. So lesson learned. But what we have to, and what I didn't know about, because having twin calves is somewhat of a rarity. It only happens, and Mr. Ben can probably give you better numbers, but I'd say it only happens around once every 250 births.
Hmm.
And what normally happens with twins is you get one male and one female, or a bull and a heifer.
Hmm.
In this case, I got two heifers, which was really strange.
Hmm.
And just a blessing, because they'll grow up and be great little replacement heifers. I'll sell them as mama cows, to be one day, here in probably 12 months or so.
Hmm.
But everybody's doing great. I keep waiting on others to deliver. I've got a bunch of more babies coming, but I've only got two that I'm worried about, because they're the first time. They're the heifers, or the first time mamas. And you always watch them a little more closely, because
Right.
a lot of times they'll be the ones that need help.
Hmm.
By the time you've had your third or fourth calf, they just kind of pop out while you're walking across the field. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, it's routine at that point.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, I could preach a sermon on what you've already said, but I won't, because you have a blog about the. You don't grow cotton there on the ranch, do you?
No, sir, I don't grow cotton here, but I tell you, about 3 years ago, cotton. This used to be the cotton capital of Texas, Delta County, and this area of Northeast Texas, but kind of got away from it for 20, 25 years. And we've got a cotton museum over in Greenville and things, so it was king, but we've kind of gotten away from it. But about 3 years ago, the Pilgrim family built a cotton gin just up the road from me. It's on Highway 24, between Cooper and Parrish. But this gin, and it's a several $1 million investment. But we started planting cotton again here on the farmland, and I think was 238,000 acres in cotton here in Delta County, something like that. Just a astronomical number. And cotton is indeed king again here in Delta County. In fact, every October we have a festival. Cooper's the county seat. All 2,000 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Probably the only incorporated city in the county.
pretty much.
Well,
But,
where I live, we
anyway,
are the county seat.
Yes.
We're the only city in the
years
county,
and
so
years,
no choice.
this festival in October was called Chigger Fest. Now,
Chigger.
you know what a chigger is, don't you, Coach?
I've scratched a few.
Yes, sir. And we got plenty of them in the bottomland around here. But, they said, oh, it's a unique. Well, now it's called the Cotton Harvest Festival. So cotton has really returned.
Making a comeback.
It is, I'm sorry.
Making a comeback.
Yes, sir. It certainly is.
At 60 cents a pound, it'll come back, yeah.
Yes, sir. That's a pretty good cash crop for row crops. It really is.
Mhm.
But yes, sir. So I talked about harvesting cotton, and kind of what led me to that story is, if you drive north, south, east, or west of here, where I live, doesn't matter where I go, I run across thousands of acres of cotton. Yeah, it's just everywhere. And it's beautiful when it's white and it's all ready to go. And then they'll come in and they'll spray the defoliant to dry things out and to drop the leaves, so that they can then harvest the cotton. So you just have these stick plants, if you will, with all these bolls of cotton. And it's just beautiful. White, oh my goodness. looks like a blanket of fresh fallen snow for my eastern friends that know that. And they come in, and here we use strippers, but they'll use strippers or cotton pickers, and they'll harvest the cotton. And then you have big round bales. It depends on whether the combine has a baler built into it or not, or they just throw it off into a buggy, and then that buggy takes it to a big machine called a module builder, and you'll build these big bales or big rectangular shaped modules, they call them, of cotton. Now the bales weigh about 5,000 pounds apiece, and y'all have seen my hay bales, and my hay bales weigh between 15 and 1,800 pounds. It depends on how tight you pack them and things. But cotton bale, a round bale, weighs about 5,000 pounds. But a module, the big rectangular shaped bales, weigh about 20,000 pounds. And they actually have special trucks to pick those up and right out in the field and haul them back. But what happens after the harvest, Coach, and many of you have seen corn stalks littering the field and things. Well, the same thing happens with cotton. And the part of the plant, the stalk that is attached to the roots in the ground, is left behind. And in addition to that, there's a lot of cotton fibers that just kind of blow about. They pop out of the harvester, or they blow out of the trucks in there alongside the highway. It's just a white mess. It looks like dirty snow. But of course, against this Texas blackland that we live on, it's pretty stark difference. You see those tufts of white all over, and in the top of the blog, I showed a picture of a harvested field. And I can't tell you how many pounds of cotton is left there, but you'd mentioned, you get about 60 cents a pound for cotton. I'd be out there with a tow sack. I want to get every dime. I'd collect it, and come on, don't forget this. Throw it in the seat with you, But it struck me this year, and I wasn't really understanding why at the time. But of course, when you see the field full of cotton ready for harvest, John 4:35 comes to mind, right? And look at the fields; they're already white for harvest. It's kind of natural fit. But after they harvest it looks like a war zone, Coach. Everything is just desolate and dank and run down, and there's dirt and litter all over the place. The cotton fiber remnants that are left. And it just really upset me, and I couldn't understand why. So I'm thinking on it and praying on it. Lord, what are you trying to tell me here? And it finally hit me in my mind. And whether this was the Holy Spirit or just J.D.'s strange mind here, I said every one of those balls of cotton was a Christian soul, right? And look at all those that are left behind after the harvest or after the rapture. And that really made me sad, Coach. And I felt like, and whenever the rapture comes, and I don't want to debate theologies with people. I'm not smart enough to do that, Coach. But, we each work out our salvation and our faith the way we work it out, and we believe what God leads us to believe. But when the rapture happens, it struck me that there's going to be a lot of people that say, oh, yeah, I'm a good Christian, and I don't care if it rains or freezes. I got that plastic Jesus on the dashboard of my car. I'm safe. I'm heaven bound, right? And they're going to be standing there looking up going, what happened? Why didn't you get me, Lord? And so many of them are deceived. There's false gospels out there in the church and the apostasies that we see. And that just broke my heart, Coach. It just bothered me. This has been several months ago, of course, but it's just been weighing on me. And that's been my prayer. Lord, put someone that thinks they're ready to go to heaven in my path so that I can help them get ready. And that's been my prayer each day, Coach, is Lord, show me somebody that I can help get to heaven. Especially within my own family and my extended family and things. Uh, the thought that I'm there in glory one day and they're not, that's going to hurt, Coach. There's going to be a lot of people that I won't see. Now, I believe that when that day comes, God is, because He's promised us no tears
Yeah.
and no
No sorrow.
hurt and no pain. I think He's going to take those memories away from us, but we'll be surprised at the number of folks that we thought we'd see there that we're not going to see there, right? I always teasing a caller, um, and there's a song, Mississippi Squirrel Revival. It talks about Sister Bertha better than you know, and there's going to be a lot of those folks that you think, boy, this was a righteous, upstanding Christian person. But you don't know what's inside, and we can't judge another person's heart. We can't determine if somebody else is saved or not. That's God's job, not ours. But I worry there's a lot of people that are deceived, a lot of people that are going to be missing when that roll is called up yonder, Coach.
When I read that, my thoughts were, well, when I get to heaven, there's probably going to be some people that I say, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
The other one, another thought, is this, like you said, the roll is called up yonder. There's a separation. There's a point in time, and only God knows. And He said, as you alluded to earlier, He hasn't shared that with the angels. So we don't know when it's going to be, but we know it's going to be. All right, so I have tinkered and enjoy apologetic debate.
Okay.
Because it's good intellectual exercise. It's rooted in Christianity. But what I don't expect when I get to heaven is to see legions of people who say, "Hey, you're finally here. I'm one of those people that lost an apologetic argument with you."
Mhm. No.
But your blog draws a much more serious point and brings us to the heartbreak. There are people who fully believe that they are Christian because they have been deceived, misled by, as you said, false preaching, false teaching, false preaching, and apostasy. And your blog goes on to enumerate them. And folks, one, we need to get it right with ourselves. The authority is not the person in the pulpit.
Amen.
The authority is God. God's words and the life and teaching of Jesus Christ. And anything that's said from that pulpit that bifurcates with those three things is wrong. It's wrong.
Right.
It's errant. At best, it is deceptive at worst. And it's so, we see so much of here lately, there's been a real roll called up yonder, kind of, so to speak, all these
Yes, sir.
prophets that
If you can't
prophesied.
find it in there, Coach, it ain't right.
It ain't right.
That's exactly
There
right.
you go. But a lot of people prophesied events of January 20th, and it turns out that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Be careful. Test the teachings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of that, and something that really hit home with me, Coach, and I've lost followers or subscribers to my blog. I've lost Christian brothers and sisters that I thought were friends because I spoke truth to them. And I feel there's a lot of folks, evangelicals, that have made politics and this party or this person their idol, made them their Messiah, and they've taken their eyes off of God, and that hurts, Coach. Because they and some of them have finally figured out, and I was still getting emails from folks this morning. By the way, he signed the Insurrection Act, and this has to happen. And I'm going, that's not the way the act is enacted, but you guys just keep believing that. And all it is Satan is just stirring the pot, boy. He's having a ball with this.
Right.
But so many people still they can't accept that. And this morning on social media, and I've kind of stayed away from social media the last few days because I'm saying, well, he's not my president, and all these things. And I'm going, folks, like him or not, he's the president. That's, the way this election turned out, fair or not. I'm going to leave that alone, Coach.
Well,
But
if the referee
he is the
miscalled,
president. Accept it, and but you're acting, and some of these folks, he's not my president. Things are acting just like the anti-Trumpers did 4 years
mm-hmm,
ago at this
mm-hmm.
time, Coach. He's not my president.
Yeah.
And look at what a mess that was. And how far did that get you, Sparky? I mean, you got a better economy. You got less unemployment. You got more in your retirement savings. Boy, I tell you, he was a rotten president. But
yeah.
I don't want to get into the politics and things here, Coach.
Let me.
It just amazes me that people, like you said, don't put all your faith in the fella or the young lady in that pulpit. Validate everything they tell you. Everything you hear in church validated against the Word of God. And if you can't validate it, then it's hearsay. It's not true. And that's such an important message, Coach.
I think the other important message, in closing, is your blog. You mentioned it a moment ago, but I could see the grief in that when that roll is called up yonder, and there will be those left behind. We don't know who they are at this point, but we know that there will be. In fact, I've kind of made the statement, I'm not so sure the church won't be alive and well after the rapture, but that's speculative fiction on my part. But that grief that you experienced was very real and very deep to the point of tears. And it moved me because, we need to have a sense of urgency about our business. I would argue that regardless of who is or is not in the Oval Office, what's that got to do with me sharing the gospel and making disciples? Our mission has not changed.
True.
So focus on the mission. You know from your experience, if you don't focus on the mission, not only are you compromising the mission, you're putting yourself and others in danger.
Somebody's not coming home. That's right, Coach.
And
we each have to do our job.
I'm getting chills. Somebody's not coming home. If we don't focus on the harvest and making sure that everybody is included in that harvest, somebody's not coming home.
That's right.
And where they're going ain't no good.
No, sir. I think people can tell from my blog that I believe the rapture will occur before the tribulation, but we don't know. The rapture isn't explicitly identified as these things has to happen before the rapture does. I believe it'll happen before the Great Tribulation, Coach. And we've seen lots of tribulations in this old life and in this old world. But if we know that in Matthew 24 and all throughout the New Testament, they talk about the end times and they talk about the second advent or the second coming of Christ, we know that if there is a rapture, it has to take place before that. So if the signs for the second coming are more and more commonplace, and we're seeing these things in more frequency and more intensity in things, and it's getting closer and closer to those birthing pains, then the rapture has to be, right? Whenever that is, it's got to be getting closer. We don't know. We need to keep our lamps full of oil. We need to keep them wicks trimmed, folks. We can't afford. There's not one person in this world, Coach, that I will wish the tribulation on. But if you are not called up yonder on that day, then you're going to have to endure hell on earth. Mm-hmm. This pandemic, we're a million people have died, 2 million people have died, is nothing when you consider what God's Word tells us, and we know it's inerrant and true, that over 1/3 of the population of the world is going to be destroyed during this time, Coach. That's a trillion plus folks. So we ain't there yet, folks. This ain't the tribulation,
No.
but it's coming. Don't get caught in that. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, Coach.
Understood.
Let's do the work. Let's each one reach one, can we?
Yeah, we can talk about that one day. Yeah. Binary
Yes, sir.
progression. Okay.
We absolutely will, Coach.
All right. Well, JD, thanks for sharing with us, and we'll see you about this time next week. And it's a pleasure to welcome JD to the big screen here at pjnet.tv. And there you see, straight above, high above, the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. What an honor it's been to share with you tonight, and JD and Catherine. And tomorrow night, tomorrow night is Friday night. We do something special on Friday night, and Hazards 4 takes the helm. We do start at 9 p.m., so I hope you'll be here. But at 10 o'clock, he uncorks my perspective and comment. And that has become quite the draw at 10 p.m. Eastern. And so this kind of wraps it up for me this week. Wanted to say briefly in the way of an update, we actually have some opportunities for guests. We have some openings, some availabilities next week. If you or someone that you know of is involved directly in a ministry that is intervening in the lives of others and bringing them comfort and aid and ministering to them as Christ did, we would love for them to share their story right there. If you would please send me their contact information or send mine to them. We do have some openings, so I call upon you to help out if you can. That is our mission, to provide a platform for everyday Christians to share their walk with Christ. This is and shall be pjnet.tv. Before I leave, 2 questions that I would challenge you to ask yourself and answer, of course, yourself. First, what is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And secondly, when was that? We just heard JD speak of the grief, knowing that so many will be left behind. And I certainly hope that that creates a sense of urgency that calls for boldness, to the point that we'll never be satisfied with our answers to either of those 2 questions.